evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Bedford Township for March 7th, 2023. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, if Pastor Rob Malik with Engage Life Church could open us up in prayer, appreciate it.
Okay, would you bow your heads with me and let's pray? Heavenly Father, first and foremost, we want to thank you for who you are. Thank you for your Son, Jesus, and who he is, and for his Spirit, the Holy Spirit, and who he is. And Lord, I just want to give you thanks for this community, for our people. I pray that they are looking to you for guidance and wisdom as we go through times of life. And I also want to be very thankful for our leaders in this township and community and the decisions that they make for us. And Lord, I also want to pray for our state representatives, our governor. We want to pray for our president and leaders in all our states, and that they are seeking you for guidance and wisdom in the decisions they're making for our country. We love you and we praise you and we thank you for all that you do for us. We pray this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, item 2 is the approval of the agenda.
Approval of the agenda is submitted.
Support.
Motion is supported by Mr. Gore. Discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 3, the consent agenda. The agenda committee recommends to approve and place on file the minutes for the February 21st, 2023 meeting of the Bedford Township Board. And B, the resignation of Christian Deaton from the Bedford Township Fire Department effective immediately.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is submitted.
Support.
Okay, motion supported, Ms. Janaszek. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Janasek?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 5 is public comment. Comments limited to 5 minutes for board agenda items. And just state the agenda item you're speaking on.
Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. I'm going to be speaking to 8B, F, G, and H, and not in that order. Rabbit hole or not, the taxpayers deserve full disclosure, and any speaker should be allowed to voice information that speaks to their opinion in these township matters. 8F, is asphalt allowed to be dumped at Mulch King? And since the township took the decision-making with regards to the ARPA funds and the spending rights from the Park Commission, this bill sits solely on the Township Board shoulders, or at least the department which took the rights away, irregardless of why. 8H, this task has always been done by the paid members of this committee. Where are the past notes and the study reports? I am concerned that the committee members are too busy with outside activities, and since we have ARPA money, that they feel that we should blow it on that, despite the board deciding not to use this money for an oversight committee of the ARPA funds. It just doesn't seem right. 8G, not against planning, kudos for all the work, but in reading the various points of the CIP packet concerning all these various issues, I believe it should have warranted a cow meeting with detailed information and public input. It's kind of like the ARPA. Certainly not a quick push through pass at a township meeting in the time frame that we have. Couple things that stood out: road projects being discussed as final, sidewalks on Lewis, where, which ones, ordinance rules cover those, parks, a truck, they've never had one, wear and tear from cemetery and snow removal use is what makes the impact on our vehicles for the maintenance department. The asset spreadsheet all-encompassing, downsized to a CIP spreadsheet, Many of the items referred to have had ARPA funding. Is this just a way to hide these funds from feds and the public? Seems control of the purchases will fall under the control of planning. It makes it imperative that new stringent guidelines be set to become a member on this committee, which falls under the supervisor's umbrella. And 8B, nothing against the applicant, except there seems to be a misunderstanding of the committee purpose. Per the township website, it is to promote conservation and a clean and healthy environment. Beautification is not implied. The Beautification Committee was the precursor of this committee, and some of these same women were on that committee, but most walked away following denial of funds
let's
and
stay on
disputes
task
with some
for your
board
agenda
members
item.
over the projects.
You're squirreling again. Stay on task.
Pardon?
Stay on task because we're having a hard time following you as it is. Just stay on task with your agenda items.
I am.
No, you're not. You're talking about a whole nother
I'm
committee.
talking about the appointment.
Oh, this is
to-
different.
My concern is that whether we should even continue this committee, other than the electronic dumpster and the handing out of a couple awards, there hasn't been anything really done. The county pretty much handles our needs to be green, and if this group does plant to be pretty, they, not the maintenance department, needs to take care of their own projects. Thank you.
Okay. Any more comments?
Lamar Frederick, 3254 Deer Creek Drive, and I'm speaking as to 8H, Mr. Supervisor. You're a member of SEMCOG, and you could call SEMCOG tomorrow and probably get the names and addresses and phone numbers of 25. What do you mean no? What do you mean no? You're shaking your head again? I don't know.
Make your comment.
I will continue, if it's all right with you.
Yeah, make your comment. You're
It's
good.
all right. All right. Thank you. I just wondered because you're shaking your head again,
Oh,
as though what I'm saying is wrong. But you are a member of SEMCOG. I think you go to the meetings once in a great while. You could call SEMCOG, and tomorrow they could give you probably the names, phone numbers, and addresses of anywhere around 15 to 20 townships of our size and or SEV. And at the same time, you could call them over 3 days and probably find out what each and every of the members there, including supervisor, trustees, treasurer, and the clerk, as well as any other elected members, and find out what their salaries are. So I'm not sure you want to spend $7,500 or $15,000 to get the same information you get as a member of SEMCOG. Thank you.
any more comments? Okay. All right. 8A, vouchers for payment.
I'd like to make a motion that the following vouchers be approved for payment. General Fund, $82,127.80. Fire District Fund, $14,148.09. Downtown Development Authority, $15.10. Library Operating Fund, $5,179.72. American Rescue Plan, $15,016.82. Stony Brook, Brookwood, $6,055.15. Deer Creek, $1,745.26. Building Department, $1,442.50. Sewer O&M Fund, $702.01. Trust and Agency Fund, $2,199, for a grand total of $128,631.45.
Support.
Okay, motion is supported. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janusek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner? Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8B, accept the capital improvement plan and determine the allocation for the 2024 budget. Ms. Hirschberger?
Jody couldn't make it tonight, but the large sheet is what we're going to be looking at. The smaller sheets are where the information came from. So the asset sheets, which are the smaller ones, all the departments went through and gave that information to the planning department, which took it to the planning commission. Planning commission then determined how much money was needed to be put aside each year to have enough by the time the lifespan was over. This is what they've come up with. This proposed allocation would be for this year only, what they're proposing. And I believe, where is he? Oh, Bob can come up and speak to more of this information. He and Jody and myself all went through the numbers. So
I'll say something really quick. I gave a lot of these numbers, my deputy and I, for our departments. Keep in mind, this is a working document. It's going to change. Money changes as far as how much things cost. A lot of these are guesstimates, and I feel like after being here for all these years, 200,000 is a solid number to put towards some of these things every year. So keep in mind, I just want everybody to keep that in mind. It will change.
and by law, the planning commission are the ones who have to do this.
Right.
They're the ones who take these assets, they turn them into this spreadsheet, and they bring to us what they believe is the correct amount to put aside. We still have to approve this, though, before it can go forward.
Yep, and this was more money than what we were putting ahead, in years past. What did we put last year? 100,000?
175,000.
So we're pretty close to what we've been doing. So, Mr. Steiner.
Mr. Miller, when you're talking about what's in front of us here, instead of me trying to redo, you're already going to go into some of the numbers. Explain these funding sources, because this just says the TIRF fund, which we've got the TIRF, we have the budget, we have potential ARPA, so there's multiple funds. And we talked about this at length at the last Planning Commission meeting because it was strictly based on the CIP. We didn't have any other agenda items. And there's going to be a lot of work on the financial person, which is Mr. Miller, to help keep track of this, because you've got all these numerous funds, and one fund may be where the money's drawn, but then it's going to have to be moved over into the other fund appropriately once money is approved to spend. So this is definitely a large moving target. The numbers in here are extremely high-level estimates. Some of them are, really good guesstimates. Other ones are just ballparked, because until we get into the actual projects, we won't know those numbers. But one of the things that, let's just say if we've budgeted $25,000 and we come back and find it's a $50,000 issue, then we've got to determine, is it something that we need to take funds early on, if it's an extremely high priority, if something's broke or it's really a mandatory thing that we replace or fix in the township. And it's going to be very similar to the way each department currently has their budgets as well, where you're allowed to move money within your own budgetary line items. And we may have to do that in these projects as well. It just depends on when each of these items actually comes up for repair. And if we don't have any emergencies, it makes it a lot easier. But I'll let Mr. Miller talk a little bit about that when it comes to the funding and some of the different locations.
You ready for me? Is this on?
You got to push it down.
How about now?
You're good.
Okay.
George will come running out, so just go ahead.
So it's not working right now?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. I'll start with the funding source. The TIRF is our Township Improvement Revolving Fund. That's the fund that was set up a couple years ago, and that's where we've been putting especially last year, we put the $175,000 in. So that's the one fund. On this spreadsheet, everything that we're asking for tonight will be just in that fund alone. The standalone funds like the fire fund, sewer fund, anything that has their own millage, that is not addressed specifically here tonight. To address another question you had, there is in the far left column it says project rating. I believe the Planning Commission is going to assign acceptable, desirable, or essential. So they're going to rank them in that way. Then when there's multiple projects that are rated, let's say, acceptable, they'll then rank them 1, 2, 3 within that project rating. So that'll help determine if there's a conflict where funds are needed. That will assist in ranking those projects. Any questions on the funding source, ratings, or rankings? Did that answer your question on those a little bit, I hope?
He's looking at you. You good?
I mean, well, yeah, I mean, you explained that. I mean, that's all I was asking you to do is cover so people understood that, those different
Perfect.
funding sources.
Okay, so the intention of the capital improvement plan projects for this spreadsheet here is to ask for funding out of this coming year's budget to fund these projects or to get the funding started for some of these long-term projects. I'm not sure if we want to go line by line or if anybody has any questions on.
I would just have
projects.
if anybody has any questions. Mr. Steiner.
While Mr. Miller's finishing up, please make sure I get this back. This was from planning. If you just want to take a quick glance, you'll see how the allocations are year over year over year. If you just want to take the first page, will give you a good glance at pretty much everything of how that works. And what that is, Bob, is that's the one where you know it's the next budget. Then it's got 23, 4, 5, 6, all the way out to potentially into. I think
Is it any different than like all the rest of these pages?
it's going to be close to what you've got. I just know this is the one we
That
covered
looks-
at the meeting.
That looks
Jody had to do.
identical to this page.
Okay, she was going to make a few adjustments. So as long if you've got,
Yeah,
that's fine.
They're in the packet.
Okay.
The other thing I guess I want to call out, if you look at the very bottom, near the right-hand side under proposed allocation, there's currently $380,000 in the Township Improvement Revolving Fund. That's how much we have saved up to date.
And then the sewer would be on the very bottom because it is its own separate fund.
Like I said, I think the planning commission did a fine job. It's a working document. Like I said, things are going to change. We're putting a solid number every year in. And I think it's a good start.
And just to add to that, I said something at the planning commission meeting too, and I'd be remiss for not saying it here. Really need to give kudos, not really just the planning commission. This is the planning department. I mean, you know, Jody and Katrina and you know, working with Bob and you guys, Dennis Kohler, et cetera, everybody. That department has put a lot of work into this, and they did a lot of good work and research and background. It made it a lot easier when it came to the commission. So again, thanks to them for all the hard work and efforts that they put into this.
Anybody else have any more questions? Okay, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve and accept the capital improvement plan and the allocation which has been provided on the master spreadsheet, which is currently starting at the $200,000 annually as submitted.
Support. Motion is supported by Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Seeing none, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Ms. Janjusek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Okay, 8C, approve the hiring of part-time employee in the clerk's department. Ms. Hirschberger?
Well, as you can see from my memo, Nancy has decided to retire. Her plans are to retire at the end of this year. So I want to bring in Amber Mitchell. She will train under Nancy for the rest of this year until Nancy retires, and then I will be coming back to the board for Amber. She will become the deputy.
Any questions? Mr. Steiner?
Trudy, is this, you said part-time, is this going to be like 20, 25, 30 hours, or what is?
It'll be over 35 hours. Bob says that there's no limit on part-time, so we can go up to the 40 hours.
Okay, so we're covered there, so we don't have to go into the whole
No.
benefit issues and
No.
things like that.
No, nothing like that. And she is aware of that, so.
Okay.
And the money is in the budget. That'll finish out this year. And then I'll just make sure it's there for the next budget year. We've already looked at that.
Unless we tell Nancy she can't retire.
I tried that. She told me she was anyway, so it didn't work.
I figured as much.
Something about grandkids and, you know.
Any more questions? Okay, seeing none, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to hire Amber Mitchell part-time at the rate of $16.01 per hour, effective immediately.
Support.
Okay, motion to support of Ms. Januzak. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Hirschberger votes aye. Ms. Janusik?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8D, approve the purchase of additional furniture for the Bedford Library. Ms. Ellsworth? Mr. Bryant?
Good evening, everybody. Got an email from Jody, so I just want to fill you in on what we want to get. 12 folding 6-foot tables from Lifetime for $1439.88, and the reason that is the room that we're getting those for is already booked 53 times in the month of March. So that's good news.
Yeah.
And the ones that we have now are falling apart, so that's why we want to get those. And then we would like to purchase patio tables, umbrellas, and umbrella bases, hardware to secure the tables to the concrete for $3,923.73. And this is mostly from Treetop Products. Umbrella bases are from Global Industrial. Furnishings, wholesale cost with estimated shipping including is $4,787.39. And I think this is going to be a great addition to Outback because as of right now, there's very little seating out there. So if anybody would want to bring their family and just sit out there at night, or if there's a movie night, we'd have some tables that you can sit at. You can bring your own snacks. You can bring your own dinner. You can sit out there and just relax and enjoy the atmosphere out back because it's beautiful. The other thing that we would like to get is one solar charging station for the tables, $3,051.48 from K Park. The reason that we would like to do that is if people would like to get out there and they need to charge their phone, instead of having to worry about finding a receptacle, it's going to be right in one of the umbrellas. Now, we do know that it is not a necessary item, but I think it would just be showing the community that we're tech savvy and that we're getting in front of everything and trying to make it easy for everybody while they're out there. Questions?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea getting people to utilize the Outback area. If I could say anything, I would try to make the edge of the woods area like a windows on wildlife type deal. We'll put some
Exactly.
bird feeders out there, squirrel feeders, deer, whatever, to attract some wildlife so people can sit out, even watch from the windows in the library.
It's beautiful out there in the evening. I mean, it's not riddled with that many mosquitoes. I mean, you're not going to go out there and get chewed up.
If you want to touch on budget-wise, where it's going to come out of the budget.
Yeah, we talked to Bob. He can transfer it from the general fund. They have money in there for this.
Okay.
And also, too, we don't have a lot of accessible seating in Bedford Township in terms of picnic tables. So this is an opportunity for if somebody needs to be able to get close to the picnic table, they can do that. If you haven't been to the library lately, you should see how many people are using the library. It keeps going up. And the thing is, I had a discussion with somebody in great length this weekend saying, oh, libraries, we don't need them, and everybody's using computers. Well, it's not true, because what's happening in the libraries, They're becoming community centers, media centers, and down the future, business owners are going to be using our library more than ever because we're going to have a green room. You're going to be able to shoot commercials. You're going to be able to do things. So it's more than just a library. So that's why these things are important. And we get so many kids coming over there nowadays. Back part is, it's kind of a hidden gem in Bedford. Nobody really sees it until you go back there.
Any more questions, comments?
Is the charging unit, is it only going to charge at one table where there'd be outlets, not multiple tables?
No, there's one table, just one table, it'll only charge at one table.
And then with all the trees over there, you're going to get a lot of shade, especially in the afternoon and evening, when that's when the majority of your sunlight's going to be. So is that going to be an
Your
issue?
sunlight is going to be sucked in there all day long.
Right.
So it will still help you charge in the evening, and we're not talking about being out there, I don't think, till 11, 12 o'clock at night,
Yeah.
but we're talking about
Right.
maybe 8:30, 9. If they stay out there that long, people are usually ready to come in by then.
And you have solar gain every single day. Even if it's gray out, you're still charging.
So this is going to have a battery situation where it's going to charge and hold?
Yes.
Again, I haven't been in the back of the library in quite some time, so I'm not exactly sure on
I'm not
the.
going to tell you that there's not work to do out there. We do
Yeah,
have some.
but I'm saying, I think you're still going to have challenges though, making sure that you're going to get direct sunlight on that to be able to charge it.
Don't forget, that won't be the only place that you can charge. I mean, if you need to run inside and plug in your car.
Oh, right.
But there are a few receptacles out there on the back of the building. They're just not real convenient. You're going to have to go through the landscaping to get there.
Yeah, I'm just saying that to make it worthwhile, I'd hate to spend $3,000 on something that's going to work part of the time.
I think if we get out there and we take a look at it. I know what you're saying with the trees, but I think we have a corner where we can get the solar gain. You know what I mean, on the one?
Yeah.
That's kind of like on the southwest corner there a little bit. So we're just going to have to kind of play with that.
Most of the trees have been taken out in that area.
Well, we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there, yeah.
You should be able to get some, with them trees being removed more.
Before you bolt it down, you might have to move it a couple times to
That's
get your
probably-
optimal
Right,
location.
to try a different spot. You're
Have to
correct.
rotate a little bit.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'll go right down the list. So I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of 12 folding 6-foot tables at a total cost of $1,439.88. 2 rounded steel-coated picnic tables with benches attached for a total with shipping $2,149.23. 1 round steel-coated ADA compliance picnic table with benches attached, a total of $828.85. Market umbrella for picnic tables, 2 of those at a total of $697.70. Surface mounts kits, 3 of those at a total of $86.55. Weighted base for the umbrellas, 2 of those for $161.40 total. And 1 solar charging ring, top and pole for picnic table. That with shipping is $3,051.48 total for a grand total of $8,415.09 to be transferred over from the general fund from the park budget or the library millage.
Support.
That,
Hold on one second, you might need a friendly amendment.
where's that
Come
come
out of the library fund balance. Excuse me.
to come out of the library fund balance? Okay. Got that.
Accept this friendly amendment?
I do.
Okay, all right. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, item 8F. Item 8E, approve the purchase of tables for the park community centers. At our meeting on Monday, February 13th, 2023, the Bedford Township Park Commissioner agreed to request that the Township Board approve the purchase of 10 banquet tables and 10 round tables to replace those at the park halls from Toledo Tent and Party Rentals for $8,600. Attached, you'll find additional quotes we've received. Any questions, comments? Mr. Steiner?
So there's a few things. I mean, I see one official quote. I don't see any official quotes on any of this other stuff. It looks like a lot of it was searched online. And comparing some of these costs and looking up some tables, I found here again at Sam's Club a 72-inch round table, $260. In this particular proposal from Toledo Tent, those tables are $420 each. The 8-foot by 30-inch banquet, they're showing a price of $320 per table, and I'm showing anywhere between $90 and $129 for those tables. And coming from Oregon, Ohio, $1,200 for freight. I mean, that number is just ridiculous for freight to come out of East Toledo. Something like that. I mean, we could take one of our own township trucks and go pick this stuff up, and not even come close to a couple $100, having man hours and the fuel and everything to go over and get them. But $1,200. I mean, as you guys all know, that's my business. Freight, and I can do a lot with $1,200. Not from Oregon to here. So some of those costs, I'm not opposed to them getting the equipment, but these prices seem awfully high.
Todd, could you speak to why they picked what they did?
I can. The problem is they go to order them, then they're not in stock. It takes so long for them to get approval to order them. By the time they are ready to order them, then they're not in stock again. So this one, they got the quotes, they submitted it to approval. They just want to get them done, get them for the halls, especially with it starting to get nice out. The halls are going to be rented again.
Why do we need mahogany wood tables and not year-round like the Lifetime?
Joe, you got to talk to your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Getting the evil eye.
I just know they can't hear you.
Okay, why are we going with the mahogany wood at $260 a table?
It's replacing what they have. That's what they have now.
Instead of maybe the Lifetime that.
Actually, Joe, that doesn't match even. That was one of my points. That table says $260, and if you look at these tables,
And that's not a round table either.
there's 10 units. So 72-inch tables you see in that first picture for $260 shows 10 of them at $4,200. They're $420 a piece.
Yeah.
So that doesn't match. I think this was maybe a research item and not part of this quote. So this might have been the $260 they found somewhere else.
I just agree. It seems awful expensive.
I mean, and here again, yes, it was Sam's Clubs. I looked up the numbers, and I did make sure all of those items did say in stock as well. I didn't go in and punch in 10 of each, but they do show in stock.
I don't know if Carol has a membership to Sam's Club. The township.
I've got one.
I belong to Costco.
I mean, it doesn't matter who, but if somebody's got one, they could go in and do it.
Well, I think we should give, something tangible for them to work with. I could tell you there's a lot of frustration from the park board that they even have to come to this board. So, I don't disagree with what anybody's saying. I mean,
Todd, do you know what these? Do you know what is this attachment?
When they're requesting something, someone from the park board should have at least showed up to.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like I said, there's.
So obviously they don't want them that bad.
Todd, to tell you what, I'll work with you. If you want to go back, talk to them, and if you want me to investigate further, I'll see if I can lock in pricing for these type of units at Sam's.
We'll be here tomorrow night at 8.
Tell you the price. I'll be in this room tomorrow night at 7 for planning. So.
Yeah, they'll be here tomorrow night at 8. They have a meeting.
So.
I will say this though, I did stop that in the past where there was. I won't say any names, but somebody was using a Sam's Club, and we were purchasing everything through that for the township. They get a lot of rewards for that, and I don't think that's something we should do.
The only thing
for
you get
practice.
rewards for is if you get points on your credit card. So again, it doesn't matter who wants to pay for it. I mean, do we still have one P card or purchasing card?
Huh?
Do we still have one purchasing card here?
You mean a credit card?
Credit card.
Yes.
Okay, so whomever,
We also have an account at Lowe's.
okay.
Looks
I'm
like
just-
some of these might be Home Depot, so we could go to Lowe's even.
Even if it was Sam's, I mean, you don't get anything special from a membership just because you bought it there. You
But
get
either
your
way, you're
points.
going to have to send this back to them. We're going to have to turn it down, send it back to them, and
say
let them pick what they want.
That's what I said, I'll work with
Table it
Todd.
or table it or no, whatever.
Right. You know, Todd, if you want me to work on that angle, look at it, I mean, we can pay for it however you want to pay for it. I mean,
I would say that we vote how we're going to vote and just let them know, maybe communicate. You can communicate to them what we talked about. I'm sure they're watching, and they can go from there. If it's not an issue with the whole Sam's Club thing, if we use our credit card, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying, I think we got to be careful with that, utilizing somebody's membership and, getting into that. So, all right, look for a motion.
we can make a motion. I'm not going to make a motion to completely deny. I'm going to make a motion to deny this specific proposal and send this back to the park board to research some of the avenues we've just discussed here this evening at a lower price.
Okay.
Support.
Okay, motion supported, Mr. Gore. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call a roll, please?
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Gore.
Aye.
Mr. Bruning.
Aye.
Mr. Montry.
Aye.
Ms. Vandisek.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni.
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Item 8F, approve payment for material and asphalt disposal used by the Park Commission. Anybody have any comments or questions? This was the basketball court project when they ripped out the courts. So,
What is Mulch King doing with this asphalt? Are they allowed to have, I thought they were only able to resell.
this was probably before all that was done.
What's that?
This was before all that was done, I'm sure.
How old is this?
The bill, it's old. Every bit of probably 8 months.
I mean, there's not even a date on these invoices.
July? Yeah. So it's been at 8 months, 9 months.
I guess the biggest thing that we should all struggle with is the part that it doesn't follow policy. I mean, these are the kind of things that if we're going to do work, we should get quotes and numbers in front of us before we do it.
Yeah, if they did provide a service, I mean, we do pay the bill, but moving forward, we're going to have to.
I'm pretty sure the park board's got the message. This is an old bill. I think Mulch King deserves to be paid.
Yeah.
It's not their fault that they didn't follow this policy. So I'll entertain a motion so we can move on, and we'll hold the park board to the policy moving forward.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the payment for material and asphalt disposal used by the Park Commission to Mulch King in the amount of $2,330.
Support.
Okay, motion supported, Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore.
Aye.
Mr. Bruning.
Aye.
Mr. Steiner.
Following principle of our policy, I'm going to vote no.
Ms. Janasek.
Aye.
Mr. Montry.
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni.
Aye, the motion passed 6-1. Okay, item 8G, appointments to the Green Initiatives Committee. Okay, I'm recommending the Green Initiatives Committee to be reduced to 5 members. In addition, meetings should be the third Monday of the month at 6, so as to encourage greater participation. Meetings will be held at the Township Hall. I'm looking to reappoint the following current members to the Green Initiatives Committee. Joyce Blanton, third term ending 12/31/24. Patricia Bowl, third term ending 12/31/24. Sarah Gore, second term ending 12/31/24, and the new appointment, Josh Niederkor, first term ending 12/31/24.
So are you still looking to add one more member?
Yes. Right. I look for a motion.
I'll go ahead and make the motion that we reappoint the three current members. You want me to name them since you already named them?
No, that's okay. You can just
And
say
then,
whatever. The new appointment.
And then the new appointment, Josh Niederkor, first term ending 12/31/24.
Support.
Okay, motion in support of Mr. Bruning. Any more discussion? Ms. Hirschberger?
I make a friendly amendment that it also includes reducing the committee down to 5.
Oh, I'll accept that friendly amendment.
So will I.
Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
Aye.
Mr. Montry?
Aye.
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Jandisek?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 7-0. Okay, moving on to 8H, approval for a compensation study. Mr. Steiner, I'm sure you'll have something to say about this, and so is Ms. Hirschberger. It's been a struggle over the years with raises here because we really never really have a solid idea of where somebody should be with their positions. We have utilized MTA over the years. We just did it last year when we did the assessing study. They don't have solid numbers up to date. They don't have comparables to this township. This township's way different than Bloomfield or, different areas up north. So we just don't have many comparables. So it is tough. We do have a few people that would like raises, and the committee sat down and talked and thought, this is probably the better approach to get job descriptions, to figure out where exactly people should be, and not just carte blanche, hey, you haven't had a raise, oh, you got this certification, here's 10,000 more. I think we need to stop doing that because it's, nobody really knows for sure. And this is the only way to really know for sure where people should be. It's kind of the approach of the menu. I think we should just do wages. They develop job descriptions, benefit analysis. They all have different costs, but if we just did the wage study, I think there'd be roughly 15 different positions that we would do the study for. That would get us in the mark of, $7,000 to $8,000 roughly to do the study. So if anybody have any questions or comments?
I just want to clarify that this is not any of the elected officials. This is only the employees. So that's what we're looking for. And you're not approving which firm, so those quotes would still come back to this board for approval. This would not approve one over the other. You're just giving permission for us to go get the quotes and bring them back.
Right. This is just the start to see if you want to do a study before we go and do a bunch of work and bring something back. So
I'm assuming that this is just for the employees that are non-union?
Correct.
Not tied to?
no maintenance. Maintenance is the only union employees we have. Obviously the fire department's a union now, but this has nothing to do with them either.
And just right off the top, I have no interest in looking at a company from Littleton, Colorado.
Yep, it was just something the gentleman, the owner, lived in Monroe. He does work in Monroe, so he still has a good idea, a good base of what happens in Monroe. So that's why we added that one. So, Mr. Steiner.
Yeah, it's funny that I just talked to Ms. Hirschberger a week or so ago about this item, and she said you guys were already working on it. So, yeah, I do agree that we should get something better and more standardized for the simple fact that this board turns over, not 100%, but any given year this board could turn over 100% on an election year. Be good to have something that I think would be solid for the employees here to know exactly where they stand. I think my question, and Ms. Hirschberger already answered about, we'll go out, 2 different companies, get some ideas for what kind of numbers we're looking at. But I think to simplify how much they have to do and what kind of costs we're looking at, how many, and when I say, and don't anybody take offense if we don't have something perfect, it's just, we've moved along over the years. How many really solid job descriptions do we have for, you mentioned maybe up to 15 positions? How many good solid descriptions do we have that we could say, okay, here's our current job descriptions, and if we don't have, at least be able to give them something to go on. Other than that, you have to have them come in and develop the job.
I would say the only department that doesn't have actual job descriptions that we have, like, hey, this is what you are, is assessing.
But
You know, for me, for my department.
before we would go out to them, we are working on making sure they're all up to date. So we're going to send them out to the different departments, let them tweak them, make sure we have good job descriptions before we hire a company so that we have something to hand out to them.
And then the personnel committee just go over and review those and make sure they're accurate. And
Would anybody else like to be involved in this process?
I'll say I'll tentatively volunteer, just, my schedule. But if we can work it out, absolutely, I'd volunteer to be part of it.
Because I personally think that we should just stick with the wage. We obviously have our benefits set in place. Stick with the wage, get our job descriptions, and keep it to that. Because that's the only area I feel like we're struggling to figure out where,
Right. I don't think we need all the reports they give and everything else. I'm just looking for a wage comparison.
We need the high level. We need the Volkswagen down here. We don't need the Maserati up here.
Right. And I've seen Sage Solutions has a report if you want to look and see what they are capable of. We don't want everything that they're capable of up, but if you go to Bloomfield Hills in Michigan, they had Sage do a report for them. It's an outstanding report, very detailed. Not that we want to go that far, but if you want to see some.
You say that's on their site in Bloomfield?
I'm going to go through and look at each one of these companies, but I'd like to see more information provided on each company or the company we choose provided in the packet.
What's the concern?
And I can tell you that Bob did go out and get these companies for us. He went out and Bob Miller found these companies.
So the concern is currently right now we probably have a couple employees that would like $10,000 more. And we don't know if they deserve it. Obviously for the position, for what they do, they're invaluable. But we really, like Mr. Frederick said, we go to MTA, we look up, we compare it, we come back, and it's like, well, you can't compare to Bloomfield, you can't compare to that. You know what I mean? We need something that says, here's the study, here's, kind of what people are being paid, and, and have it come from somebody other,
Plus, you have to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, because you have charter townships, you have general law townships, you have cities. You need to make sure that we're in villages. We need to make sure that we're comparing ours with a general law township and not a charter township or a city.
Right. And when you look at our size as a general law township at 32,000, we don't have a ton of comparables.
Because most are charters.
And we could still get numbers from MTA or SEMCOG and look at them and use that as the baseline. And then when they make sense, fine. If they don't make sense, then we show that we've done that review and discard those. But again, it doesn't hurt to look at them. And like you said, though, sometimes those numbers aren't the most up-to-date either. That does not help us.
That's where we ended up, because that's where we wanted to start. Well, actually, when I talked to Trudy at first, obviously we're members of MTA. We utilize them as much as we possibly can, even for legal. We don't go to legal first. We go to MTA first, but we found it to be not as useful as it has been in the past for a wage study for us. So we feel like this is
for a number of years, and we had the same thing for the compensation committee. Same issues, doesn't always have that most up to date.
Right.
Well, another situation we have is we have employees that have the same title, get paid the same amount, but do completely different jobs. Completely.
So that's where we probably have to have maybe here's a title, but maybe a title description to make sure that somebody doesn't think, hey, this is the title here, why am I not making what this title same over here is?
And
Can I
they
make
even
a sug-
have different titles, but
Can I make
they
a
still fall under
suggestion?
that.
Yeah.
Joe, would you and Rick be interested in spearheading this?
With my schedule,
Just
with some
getting-
of the other stuff that, I don't know that I'll have the time.
Okay.
I mean,
Because if somebody wanted to just take on doing research on the companies, and then we could, that would be step one. And then step two, we could, figure out exactly what we want and then put it out for bid.
again, I can jump on and research the companies. We all can with just the names. We can just all Google them and look at them. And that's what I'm going to do.
Because the next step is this board tonight saying, hey, let's just do a wage, go with the wage, and then we put it out there to say, hey, here's how many positions. We have 15. We want to do a wage study. Give us the bids.
Here's our job description.
Here's our job descriptions and give us the bids, and we go from there. Not all these companies might even bid on it. We might be too small for them.
Possibly.
So we'll open it up, What's the pleasure of the board? Would you like to move forward with this? We can have the personnel committee. If I'd be more than happy to back out if Mr. Steiner wants to work with Trudy and Krista on this one. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Like I said, tentative on schedule-wise, I generally start my days at 12
Shouldn't be
hours.
much, to be honest with you. It should be
I just can't get over here during the day most of the time. That's the problem. And I know that's when they're
I
going
don't think you'll need to. I think it's more of a phone call.
We can talk, but if I can't do it, then you or somebody else is going to have to fill in on that.
Okay. All right, I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we proceed to search for a company to handle a compensation study. I'm going to go ahead and even state that we have 5 companies listed that Mr. Miller has done some basic research on. Probably include those, and if there's any other pertinent companies that we may expand this to as well. And then, if it's available, get a SEMCOG and MTA comparison.
It's actually Mr. Pryor, but it's okay.
What's that?
Mr. Pryor did.
Oh, I thought you said Miller.
He started.
Oh, okay, both of you guys.
Over. He finished. It was a teamwork.
You guys look like twins, so that's good.
Yeah.
Do I have a support?
Support.
A motion in support of Ms. Janaszek. Any more discussion? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Steiner?
Aye.
Ms. Jandasek?
Aye.
Mr. Gore?
Aye.
Mr. Bruning?
No.
Mr. Montroy?
Aye.
Hirschberger votes aye. Mr. Peroni?
Aye, the motion passed 6-1. Okay, number 9, comments from the public. Comments limited to 2 minutes. Come on up.
Gail Kane,
Hey, take it
1056
easy
West
on the
Temperance.
microphone there. You're going to break it.
Oh, we got plenty of money. We can buy more. We didn't even have any of the paperwork, didn't show on the screen or nothing. So at any rate, now that you've interrupted me and lost my train of thought, I would like to see our seating put back to the way it was and to have our American flag put to the front of the room. There's no reason that it needs to sit in the back. And we are elbow to elbow, butt to butt. And it's just not healthy to be sitting like this. We've got more than enough room. Also, I wish with the packets that we got the full information. You ask us to comment on things, and we don't get told the whole story. So, from what I understand, this compensation, there's no raises for the elected. I wish it had been in the packet that this was actually for other employees. Yep, it's working really good here. That it was for the employees. It's the same thing with all of it. And I'm definitely going to be looking to the Green Initiative Committee to jump on board the Adopt a Road program because if that's what they want to do, they're to be for the good of the community. I've got a couple roads that I think they may enjoy helping me get adopted. Most of the rest of them are done. But thanks.
Thank you so much for your comments. Any more comments? Okay, all right. Moving on to comments from board members. Mr. Bruning?
Everyone have a good night, good rest of the week. Let's see, wrestling is done Wrestling is done for both state and individual. Moving on to Greco tonight. Basketball's still going though, so both the ladies and men are continuing on. Other than that, I have nothing. Everyone have a good night, good weekend.
Mr. Gore?
Just to remind everybody, and I'm sure somebody else will make the comment, trade fair this weekend. It's nice to see that back. I know it's a little bit smaller than usual, but hopefully it kicks back up over the next couple of years. Get out there, support our local businesses, support our community, and everybody have a good week.
Mr. Montre?
For those who are unaware, Senate Bill 4, or the Elliott Larson Amendment, was passed in the Michigan Senate last week with the support of only 3 Republican votes, one of which being our very own State Senator Joe Bellino. I would like to urge all conservatives to contact State Senator Bellino's office to voice disapproval of that vote and beg for them to remember this in the next election cycle. I also would have urged those to contact State Rep Bruck's office to urge a no vote as the State House reconvenes tomorrow and will likely vote on the same bill tomorrow, but I don't know the last time he's showed up to session to vote. So I would also urge conservative residents to contact possibly Dale Zorn's office or Jamie Thompson's office to urge them to vote no, as that will possibly be voted on tomorrow, if you could call their offices tomorrow. And that's all I have.
Mr. Steiner?
I didn't have anything to add, but I will add one thing that I do know that Mr. Brook has been called to duty. He's active, so he's been gone, I think, 5 or 6 months, and that's probably why he hasn't been in session lately.
Yep. Probably not the best idea to elect a guy that's still serving the country at the same time.
Well, once you're out, you get called up. You called up. Doesn't matter what you do.
Still, people elected him, so you get what you get.
Hey, there's people who've been in government for many more years than that, and they still can get called up if they're in the right position.
Yep. Okay. Ms. Janizek?
I don't have anything. Everyone have a good evening and a nice weekend.
Hey, Ms. Hirschberger?
I just want to remind everyone that this Sunday, daylight savings time begins, so spring forward.
Woo.
And then the newsletter should be coming out this week. That's all.
Okay. Well, Nancy, I know you've got a long ways to go, but we'll miss you. You've brought a lot of I know Trudy will say a lot, but you've brought a lot of joy to the township, and done a great job. So the clerk's department does a great job. So we'll miss you. I have been getting a lot of calls, especially during the rainy days, on the basketball courts at White, wondering why they're under 3-4 inches of water. The Park Commission is putting drainage in over there, so hopefully that'll be solved once the rain stops. They'll be able to get the work done, so look for that work to be done soon. So this board did not approve that project. The park board, before the policy change, was able to do that job, and unfortunately, they didn't raise the hoops up to the proper level that they should have been raised to stay out of the water, but hopefully this drainage that they're putting in will fix it. So I'm excited for all the work they're doing at the library. I was over there. Well, I'm actually there almost every week now, but it's really a very busy place. And we're even encouraging residents when they call for their condo associations to utilize the library. We typically get a lot of people that come grab keys from Mr. Pryor and use this place on the weekends, but the library is a great place for meeting rooms, so we've been trying to encourage people to move there. I want to talk about the trade fair. It's an extremely important event for our community. If you get a chance, stop out, share it on your social media pages. The board did a great job putting it together. It's a lot of work. Go support your local businesses and get some food, and it'll be a great event. We did meet our first initial meeting with Jim Jacobs. He met with Trudy and myself on her needs for storage. met with the maintenance, went over to the maintenance garage to see the needs over there, just kind of getting the process rolling there. We had a great meeting with Manick and Smith, myself, Trudy, and Krista, did a ride-along through the community to see the areas that we're talking about connecting. Some of the areas were obviously Douglas Road School to Green Hills. Where Monroe Road is, we're going to try to connect that short part to Monroe Road Elementary, because then that would connect all the way through to all the neighborhoods to the DDA. We're not necessarily trying to go all the way down main roads. We're trying to connect the neighborhoods and get people to where they could safely get to the sidewalk and get to the schools. We are looking at connecting Summerfield and Monroe Road, where it goes right down there to Butternut, or is it Beechnut? Butternut, to where residents could get to the park safely, and actual people could go all the way, from Secor area all the way, and get to a park safely. There's already a lot of sidewalks currently there. So we're looking for areas that currently have sidewalks. We were looking at Waterford subdivision off of Dean Road. Okay, there's a short jaunt right there to connect to Secor, where there's already sidewalks where the BBA building is. Waterford's that first neighborhood. So we'll be connecting a lot of homes there. So I think that's it, right? That was the projects we looked at. So Manica Smith is going to work on it and kind of give us an idea of where we're at cost-wise. Obviously, if we're at $2 million, we'll have to bring it to the board and see what direction we want to go. So just continuing to move forward, and the DDA has a volunteer currently right now that we're utilizing to pick up all the trash from the DDA. So I know Ms. Keene was at the DDA board looking for us to join Adopt a Road, but we are going to take care of the DDA area. So other than that, anybody else have any comments or questions? If anybody in the community needs volunteer hours or looking for projects, we get messages all the time. So highly encourage it. We could use all the help we can get to do different things like that to beautify our community. And I think the beautification committee is doing an amazing job. Why the heck would you stop a committee that's continuing to progress? They haven't been stagnant for 2 years. They're working hard. They're getting lots of stuff happening. So I'm very happy with them. So I think we should continue to encourage them to do better. So anybody else have any comments? Okay, motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn. Adjourned.